So hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going to take a challenge, a coding challenge to build a random quote generator. So we'll be using the technologies HTML, CSS, JavaScript, the vanilla JavaScript, and Tailwind CSS. We are not using React or anything else fancy, we are just using vanilla JavaScript, and we'll be using Vite. If you don't know what is Vite is a simple web app bundler, you can say, but it provides a lot of things, a lot of toolings. So let me quickly show you a demo of what we are going to build. So if you take a look right over here, this is the random code generator. Let me hide my face for a while so that you can see that in a whole. So first of all, we have this quote, and then we have this the name of the author. So if you were to click new quote, it's going to go ahead and fetch a quote from an external API, and it's going to show you that. And also it has a loader, as you saw. If I was to click on this button, this tweet button, it's going to open up Twitter and it's going to tweet this quote that we have right over here. So as you can see, we've got intent tweet, and this is going to be very straightforward, so you just don't need to worry about this. Alright, so once that is done, whenever we click on new quote, it's going to fetch the quote. And in this particular video, we are going to do the design and the CSS part. We are not going to do the fetching part as of now. Alright, so let's first of all set up our project and we'll go step by step. So right over here, I am in my desired folder. Let's go ahead and create a new Vite project. So we can do that with npm init Vite, and let's add the project name, which is random quote generator, or let's just name it random quotes. Alright, that will be a very long name. So once we have that, you can choose the framework. So let's select vanilla, and let's cd into random quotes, and right over here let's go ahead and npm install. And even before that, let's go ahead and open it up in Visual Studio Code so that we can take a look at those files that we have. Alright, so it's right over here. Let's go ahead and minimize this, and let's just close the terminal itself. We don't need the external terminal. What we do need is VS Code, and we can open up a new terminal right inside of that one. Alright, great. So right over here, I can simply run npm install to install all of the dependencies. And what we can do is right over here, as you can see, we have all of this stuff. So let's just zoom out a little bit so that I can show my face to you all. Great. So while this is installing, let's quickly go ahead and do the setup. So a good friend of mine created this website, codingspace.codes, and simply you can find challenges here, coding challenges right over here. As you can see, latest challenges. This is what we are attempting, the random quote generator. And then you can take a look at these different challenges. These are very awesome challenges. Basically, if you are going to master front end, this is going to be a really great website for you. So let's go ahead and view this challenge, and you can get all the assets right in this challenge. So if you take a look, you've got a preview right over here which is still loading. So as you can see, we have first of all got requirements, and you set up your project. User should be able to see a code, user should be able to tweet a code, and user should be able to change a code. This is what this functionality is what I haven't done yet, so we are going to skip this requirement, but we can do these three. So we are doing vanilla JS. You can download all the assets from right over there, and I already have it. So basically, the assets is a zip file where you get some images, some screenshots for it, and you also get the .fig file for Figma. So if you don't know yet, Figma is a prototype designer. So if I just go ahead and open up, you can go ahead and sign up for Figma. You can create designs and previews in Figma, and they have already created the design for us. So if you go ahead and open that up, so if we were to open this up right over here, as you can see, we've got these images and this .fig file. All right, so first of all, you will need to extract it. So let's do that. Once it's extracted, let's go ahead and drag and drop it right over here, and it's going to get uploaded. And as you can see, we've got random code generator. Once it's done, you will need to double click it to open it up. with Figma. You can even download Figma or go to figma.com and sign up. Now as you can see, we've got a design prototype right over here. We've got a background, we have also got this tweet icon, we have got some text and this icon as well. So all of it is what we are going to create. So the images are what we exactly need. So as you can see, this desktop, this screenshot right over here, so this is what we need. And there is a plugin marketplace for Figma. So if you just search on Google for Figma plugins, you're gonna get that, and you have to install a plugin to download these images. So it's download png, this is the plugin name. So you can simply install this plugin. It's very, very simple. Just go ahead and install it just like you do with a Chrome extension. And once you do that, you can right click this and go to plugins, download png, and that is going to bring up a window like this one, and you can hit download. If you want, I'll leave a link to the download png plugin in the description. You can go ahead and install it right onto Figma, and that will eventually download the png file. But I've done it already for this desktop, for this one, and for this tweet icon. So all these three things I've downloaded already, so we don't need that. So once we have done that, let's close Figma, and I'll simply drag and drop these images right on to here. But I'll first of all create an img folder where I am going to put these. So let's just go ahead and drag and drop these, and the images are there. So we've got background, quote, and tweet button. Okay, tweet btn.png, let's keep it that way. I've named them. So once that is done, let's go ahead and start configuring Tailwind. So for Tailwind, I have opened the documentation, install Tailwind CSS on Vue 3 and Vite. We don't need Vue 3, but we are on Vite, so that is going to help us. So first of all, let's run this command to install Tailwind CSS, and we're gonna go fast right over here because I hope you know Tailwind CSS a bit. And once these dependencies are installed, we'll generate a Tailwind CSS file, config file. So let's copy this one. So once these dependencies are installed, we'll go right over here and let's copy this command to generate a tailwind.config.js. This will look something like this, and also a post css config.js will be generated. And right over here in the Tailwind configuration, you will need to add this purge. All right, so once these are generated, let's go inside of here and let's add this purge. Basically to say that these are the files that need to be purged down. All right, so once all that is done, we'll need one more option right over here. We'll add mode to JIT, basically the just-in-time mode. If you don't know yet, the just-in-time mode in Tailwind is just over the top mode, which basically makes it very, very fast in development. So once that is done, let's go ahead and close that, and our Tailwind is set up now. If we go inside of the main.js, you have this thing. So let's just go ahead and remove it. And yes, in the style.css, let's remove the default styles, and in Tailwind right over here, as you can see, we've got this. We'll copy and paste these three directives. Now once that is done, we'll import this in the main.js file, and let's leave the JavaScript file for now, and let's work on the HTML. So we don't need this div. Let's go ahead and say random quotes as the title. And to get started, before we start coding, let's run the dev server. So I'm just going to say npm run dev. So if you were to visit localhost port 3000, it's going to open up the app, and the app contains absolutely nothing right over here, so it's going to be empty. So let's start with the main tag. So we are going to create a main tag where all of our main content will live. So this main is going to be the full container, and we are going to add a background image to it. So let's just go ahead and add some classes, and this IntelliSense is coming from the Tailwind CSS IntelliSense extension in Visual Studio Code. So make sure to install that. And so first of all, let's just go ahead and say height full. That means a height of 100%. Let's add an overflow of hidden so that there is no scroll bar on our app, which I don't like. And we'll go ahead and add a background image. So we add a background image by simply, we can just use the style attribute right over here. So let's just go ahead and say background image, and we'll add URL, and in the URL let's go ahead and say ./img/ we've got the background.png. Alright, so we've added the background image, and once we've done that we can add bg fixed and bg no repeat and bg cover. Oops, should be bg cover. And that's it, that's our styling. And I moved this window right over here to take a look at it more precisely. Once we've done that, if I go ahead and add some content in the main, you'll see we get some background image. Now there's a catch. Instead of adding height full, we can add the height of screen, which will basically add a height of 100 ph, and it will give us the background image by default, so we don't need to add any content. Once we have done that with a height of screen, let's go in the main, and inside of the main what we can do is we can create a container div. So let's just create a div, let's give it a class of container and mx auto to make everything centered. All right, margin x auto. Once we've done that, let's go ahead and add a grid. So basically if you take a look at the design, everything is centered perfectly fine. So everything is centered on the screen, and that is what we are going to do with grid. We can use grid to center everything onto the screen, onto the center. We can even use flexbox for that, but grid is way easier, and let me show you how. So right over here in this div we can add a class of grid, which basically makes a display of grid, and we can add a height of screen. That means the height will be full screen right over here. And then let's go ahead and add the main, and then we can add the place items center, which is the main purpose of adding a grid. So if I was to add anything right now, as you can see, this is centered in this is completely in the center. Now what we can do is we can also add an additional text center class to center every text that we have inside of it. Right, once we have done that, let's go ahead and create this this container that you see right over here, this div with the shadow right over here, and that is what we are going to do. And in Tailwind it's very easy. So we can create a div again, and let's give this div a class of shadow XL, which basically gives it a lot of shadow. And then we can add backdrop filter, and we can add backdrop blur SM, and we are doing this to get a blur effect in the background. And let's also add a drop shadow of LG. I don't think it is needed, but let's add it anyways. Now if I were to go ahead and add some text in the div, you can see we get a little bit, just a little bit of shadow and a little bit of blur outside of this one. All right, so once that is done, let's go ahead and give it some round. So let's go ahead and say rounded MD, so that it has a curve. As you can see, there's a slight curve, as you can see. Then we can give it some padding, so let's add P5, which gives a lot of room. Then let's add a width of 2XL. I don't think it is needed. I don't think it will make a difference, but let's go ahead and add it. It does not make a difference, so let's remove it. Once we have added that, now if I was to add some other text right over here, I mean it now let's remove all the text from it, and let's go ahead and center everything inside of that one as well. So we can use flexbox for that. Let's add flex, and then we can add flex column to add columns. Then we can add items center to align all the items horizontally center, because we are using column. And then let's add justify center to align everything vertically in the center. Once you have done that, these classes are, that's it with these classes. Let's go ahead, inside of this one we'll add an image. So let's go ahead and add an img with a source. Inside of image we've got the quote.png, and this is the huge image, and it looks huge because we are zoomed in. So let's reset. Now this looks better, and you can see that we have got a slight blur. We can add a class to it, which is select none, which makes it so that we cannot select it. Even if I press Ctrl A or if I try to select it, I cannot select it. with the mouse or anything. So that's a really handy class. And then let's add an h1 with the default quote, and you can get the default quote from the image or from Figma. I already have it, so let me just copy and paste it inside of this h1. As you can see, it's not styled yet, so we can do that by adding classes, of course. So let's first of all add a class of margin top 4 to separate it a little bit from the image. Then we'll add the text 6xl to make the text larger, right? And then let's add italic, because if you take a look at the styles, the text is italic. Let's add a font semi-bold so that it looks a bit bolder. Now as you can see, the text is looking very huge, so let's go ahead and make this 5xl instead of 6xl, and now this looks better. And what we can do is we can trigger the MD and text 6xl right over here, so that if it goes above the medium size screens, it's going to get 6xl. So let's just go ahead and make this. As you can see, now it's a little bit larger. Alright, that's cool. Then let's add a text blue. Now text blue is not a class, so what we can do is we can simply add a color of our own. And let's go inside of the tailwind.config.js, and what you can do is simply in the theme extend, you can grab the colors from the Figma. If you just select the text, you will get the colors on the right hand side, but I've already done that. So in the extend, you can add colors, and then inside the colors object you can add your own custom colors. I'm gonna add blue, and the blue color is simply this one. It's a string, and this is the blue color, and the pink color is this pink color for the author's name. So this author name has this pink color, which we are also going to grab. So let's go ahead and grab this one as well. Let me quickly do that. So this is the pink color and this is the blue color, and once you have added these in the Tailwind config, it will be available right over here. So let's go ahead and add a text blue, and that's it. So if we were to go ahead and check, now we have the blue color. All right, that was quick enough. Now let's add a separator. So right over here, as you can see, we have a cool little separator between the quote and the author, and that's what we're going to do. After the h1, let's create a div, and this is going to be an empty one, and we'll just simply give it a class of width full. We'll give it an my of 5 so that it separates margin on the y-axis, and then let's give it a bg of blue. Now it does not appear as of now because we don't have a height, so let's give it a height of, we can give it a height of anything, and we can even give it a height of custom value. So you can wrap custom values in square brackets, and this is only available in just-in-time mode, so remember that. I'm gonna add 0.5 pixels, which looks good. As you can see, we have a cool little separator. Once we have done that, let's go down and let's create an h2 for the author's name, and I'm going to copy the author's name right from the other monitor that I have, and it looks really weird right now, so let's fix it with classes. First of all, let's add text 3xl, and this is going to be for small screens. This screen that you see right over here, we'll add md text 4xl, so that means if the screen goes from medium to large and all that, it will become 4xl. Let's add a font of semi-bold, again font semi-bold, and let's add finally the text pink, not text pink 500 but just text pink to make it look pink. Alright, so this is our h2, this is our author name, looks good. Now here's the final piece of the puzzle, which is this tweet button and this new quote button, and this is also very simple. So we will need a div to contain both of these things, and we're going to justify them between. Alright, so let's create a div first of all, and inside of this div we will add an a tag, where we will, when we click the tweet button, it goes ahead and opens up a tweet, it goes ahead and opens up Twitter. Okay, that's what we're going to do, and we're going to do that later. Let's add the image, which is in img tweetbtn.png. all right, let's give it a class of select none so that no one can select it, and if you take a look, we've got the tweet button. we'll add styling to the div later on. Once we have done that, let's give it an href. So we will give it an href of this twitter.com/intent/tweet by default, and this can be changed later on in the JavaScript, and we will do that. Alright, and let's go ahead and add a target of _blank so that it opens up in a new tab. Once that is done, outside of the a tag, let's go ahead and open up a button, and in this button we'll add a span and we'll add new quote. Alright, so this is the button. It's not styled yet, so let's do that. Let's give it some classes. First of all, let's add a focus of focus outline none, which basically removes the outline from the button. Then let's add a bg blue, because you have seen the background is blue in the design, and the text is pink, which also looks good. And let's say text excel to make the text larger. Let's give it padding of 4 to make it look better. Let's make it rounded md to round it a little bit. All right, and finally let's add font bold to make it look bold. Now all that is done, let's go ahead and style this div right over here to use flexbox. So we'll go ahead and add a class, and let's do that. And in the classes, we are going to add first of all flex. So as you can see, the changes are reflected instantly. Then we'll add items center to center them vertically. Let's add justify center so that they are centered horizontally, but we don't exactly need that. We need justify between, which is going to separate them from each other, but it didn't, because we need to add width of full so that it can separate it from each other. Let's add a margin top of 5 so that they get a little bit separated from the author name. And that is it for the design, as you can see. And we are wrapping this inside a span because we also need a loading spinner, which we are going to work on in the next part, where we'll work on the JavaScript. So I hope this video helped you. Please like it, share it with others, comment down below what was your experience about this video, and finally, thanks for watching.